Fight week for LFA 65. This is Caged Minds. I'm Micah Frankel, and joined right now by Pauline Pita Macias. How you doing, ma'am?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing wonderful. Excited for this weekend's fight. How you doing?
Oh, I'm great. Just cutting weight, getting my head on straight, and just the last little bit of the week of a fight camp. I don't know. I feel like the last week is just so there's just so much that goes into it.
What does this week entail for you?
For me, I really work on making sure my head is right where it needs to be. I focus so much on my mind because I know how important that is in fights. Because my mind's strong, everything else is strong. And also, of course, weight cut. I have a great nutritionist, so I don't really have to worry about it too much. But it's still, it's still a weight cut.
So on the mental side, is that a lot of meditation, a lot of visualization? What is that mental aspect? Can you go a little more into it?
Yeah, it's kind of hard to explain. I've been competing my whole life, and I've over the years, over the last couple decades, I've really learned what works for me and what doesn't. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's kind of a switch. I know how to flip now. So it comes time to fight time, and it's like I can just flip a switch in my brain, and I just get focused, and I'm ready, and I know exactly, just exactly how I want to feel, what I want to be thinking. I wouldn't say I necessarily do a lot of visualization and stuff like that. For me, it's really just a personal thing that I've played with literally over the last 20 years, and I now know exactly where my mind needs to be for a fight, so I make sure I put it in that place.
That was
it's kind of hard to explain. I can't really I don't think I could even put it into words. It's just something that I know how to do. I do it, and then it's go time.
Having that lifetime of experience in judo, something I wanted to ask you about was basically what you touched on a little bit. Is everything fight or night of competition kind of the same from judo to mixed martial arts?
Yeah, I would say the mentality and that I go through every day leading up to the fight is similar. That flip I switch on my mind and on my brain is similar. But it is a little different than judo. I think in judo you when you go to tournaments, you're fighting multiple people that day. So you don't really know, it's just a little different when you're only fighting one person and you're not fighting as often. I don't know. I can say there are a lot of things I took away from my judo career, my competition career. But a lot of it too, I actually take from my cheerleading career too. I cheered for 23 years, and I also coached at the highest level. But with cheerleading, I know when you're on ESPN cameras and whatnot, and it's much different. The cameras, the lights, the crowd, that energy is something I really thrive with. And so for me, it's all of a sudden the cameras come on, the lights come on, it's like a flip switches, and I'm ready to perform. And I have to thank cheerleading for that.
And is that something that you kind of realized? How long did it take before you realized that you were able to hit that switch and to utilize that? Was it something you realized was happening, or something that you actually, noticed?
I would say I noticed it, but it was more like my first fight. My very first fight ever, an amateur fight. I took it on 3 days' notice. I had to fly to Idaho. It was for King of the Cage, and it was crazy. They called us out, and the crowds were cheering like crazy, and the camera was right in my face, and it was all of a sudden my body knew what to do, and it just did it, and I was ready. And then I think that's what kind of lit a light bulb, and I was like, oh, okay, I remember this feeling. Let's go do that again, and again, and it just I just have kept it that way every fight.
Why take the first amateur fight on 3 days' notice?
Because I couldn't get a fight. I felt like I was trying to get fights scheduled. It just seemed like nothing would go through. I was training with Ronda Rousey at the time, so of course people seeing me on her social media didn't help. And I came from a really big background in judo. I mean, I don't know. I'm guessing that's what it was, but all I know is they offered it, and I said, I can lose 13 pounds in 3 days because I've done it before. Let's do it. Forget it. Let's go. And to me, the flying to Idaho, some people are like, oh, my gosh, and you flew. But for me, I mean, I almost feel like if I don't travel, it's kind of awkward for me because my whole life I've been traveling the world for judo. So.
And there was a little.
I was in the right. I know, like, this is what I want to do. I love it, and I wanted it. So I think when your mind's strong and you want something so bad that, you know that you're going to be prepared regardless.
Is the passion similar or the same, switching over from judo to martial arts, still continuing a martial art journey?
It's surprisingly different. I used to love judo. I mean, I didn't even know I could love another sport more. My three main, I did all kinds of sports. My three, sport loves were gymnastics, judo, and cheerleading. And I never thought I could love anything more than that. And for some reason, mixed martial arts, it kind of, in a really crazy way, brings all of that together. Everything that I loved about each one of those sports. And now I get to put into mixed martial arts. And, oh my gosh, I can't explain the passion and the love I have for this. I wake up every single day and I'm just so grateful, and I know how blessed I am to be able to live the life I do and do what I love. I mean, yes, there are days you're tired and whatnot, but there's never a day that I do not want to go to the gym. Regardless, I'm there. I love it.
When did you decide after judo that mixed martial arts was going to be a possibility, that you still wanted to compete and you were going to go in that direction?
Well, towards in the end of 2014, the rules had really changed prior to that in judo, and you couldn't grab the legs anymore, so there were no double legs, there were no single legs, there were no firemen. And that just, and I love all those throws. So for me, it was, I don't know, I had been doing it already for 20 years and competitively, and I was really starting, I knew I had lost that fire, and I was burnt out, and I was done. And that's actually when I reached out, that was about the same time that Ronda was really, getting big in the MMA world, and, she and I had a good conversation, and I went out to Los Angeles, which is also my home, and I spent some time with her, stayed with her, and, talked about it, and it took me another 6 months after that, but I eventually, she's very persuasive. But no, and it was about the time I think they were starting the 115 division in the UFC as well. And with Ronda and the way everything was going, and just something in my gut and my heart told me, this is it. This is what, especially after the first time, when I first started learning striking, and I was getting so creative. It was all the creative side of me just came out when I started mixed martial arts, and it just gosh, I can't even explain how much I love this sport, how passionate I am about it.
And it looked like in your last fight at LFA 57, you were having a great time.
I did have a really great time, yeah.
And talk about that fight. You get a finish by breaking a girl's jaw with your fist. That's totally opposite of your judo career. What was it like to accomplish that feat? Basically, it's a knockout.
Yeah, I think I kind of surprised myself a little. When you come from such a high level in a different background, with the judo background, it's very humbling when you have to learn to strike, and it doesn't come easy. I mean, if people knew the amount of work I put in to my striking, they would understand. But I really do put so much work into it, and I work my butt off. And there's how can I explain it?
Well,
I surprised myself a little, but then I really, really, all of a sudden it was something clicked, and I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, I know, because I was a gymnast and a cheerleader and a judo player, and I know I'm strong, and I think I really showed myself how strong I could be. I really started to understand the feeling of striking now, and I was like, oh, man, here we go now. It's time.
Well, I was going to ask, what did you think was the biggest hump or hurdle to get over to utilize your striking? Was it sometimes fighting off some of the instincts from grappling or other things you learned to do?
Oh, absolutely. There are a lot of habits I had that's very great for judo habits, but very terrible for MMA. I put so much work into breaking those 20-year habits. But I also come from a high level. I know what it takes and how many reps it takes. I know how much work it takes and the time it takes to put in. And so I make sure I put in that time. Because I'm not going to, I don't want to say, man, I wish I would have worked more on this. I wish I would have worked more on that. Like, I make sure I put in the time necessary. And trust me, it was very difficult, very hard. There were days definitely, by the time I got in the car, I was already crying, and I was just so frustrated because breaking 20-year habits is very hard. But I knew that I'm an athlete. I compete at the highest level, and I knew I could do this. And it would just take a lot of me motivating myself, a lot of great people around me to keep me motivated, and I kept attacking it.
Was that also being able to play off of that you knew you were successful in other different variations at different sports, from judo to gymnastics to cheerleading, that you would be able to get over that hump, be able to conquer?
Yeah, fortunately, I've learned to be very, very mentally strong over the years with judo and all the sports, especially, gymnastics, cheerleading too. It's really crazy when you're getting thrown up in the air and you have to do all kinds of flips and trust people to catch you, or you're doing a backflip on a 4-inch beam, There's a lot, and then in judo, all the cutting weight. You learn to be very mentally strong, and I knew that I wasn't going to let anything break me, and that was it. So I didn't, and I just keep going every day.
And now you head into LFA 65, Sarah Schnell. What's your expectations for this fight?
My expectations are to really prove to myself how well-rounded I am now, and show everybody that I am a mixed martial artist. I'm not just a judo player that's coming out there and, only doing judo. Like, I put so much work into everything I do, in every aspect of the sport. And I really want to show myself that I'm a true mixed martial artist.
Was having all the accolades, the notoriety from judo, has it been that kind of double-edged sword? You spoke of it, hard to get fights, and then there's kind of that stigma that because you have such accolades and credentials in one sport that you're, just a single-dimensional fighter.
Yeah, I'm sorry, what was the question about it?
How hard has that been, fighting against all those stigmas?
I don't really let things get to me too much. I'm sure sometimes I've really learned to just kind of laugh off a lot of things. I just don't let things get to me. I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do, and I know what I'm going to do. So I just stay focused. I make my circle very small, and I keep the right mentality and the right mindset, and that's about it.
And going in there wanting to show off the well-rounded skills, that's saying you feel that you're there. You're at the point where you do feel comfortable whether this fight would stay standing for 3 rounds or it does go anywhere on the ground.
Yeah, I think that now I'm very comfortable with everything. I'm really understanding range now. I'm really learning to use different aspects of the sport to play off of each other, and I'm definitely much more comfortable now.
What do you see as the biggest challenge that's ahead of you on Friday night?
I would say my biggest challenge is always me. And that's why I work so hard on making sure that my mind is right. And once that's ready to go, I'm ready to go. I know that if my mind's on straight, I could beat anybody in the world. If my mind isn't, oh dear, it could be a rough day. But thank goodness I have so many, decades of learning how to put my mind in the right place. And so I know I'm ready, and Yeah, but step one, make weight.
Right, always that battle before everything is on the scales. It's been great getting to talk to you, Pauline. Can't wait for LFA 65 this Friday night on Access TV. Can you tell everybody how they could follow you on social media?
Yeah, you can follow me on Instagram or Facebook. It's Pauline Pita Macias, Pauline Pita Macias.
Oh, and such an original nickname. Can we get the backstory real quick on how it's Pita?
Yeah, it stands for pain in the ass, actually. My dad actually gave me that nickname before I was even born, like when I was still in utero, because there were some pregnancy issues when I was still inside my mom. The doctors told my mom and my parents that I was deformed and I wouldn't live a fulfilled life. So they actually suggested like aborting me. And my parents, luckily I have an uncle that's a doctor, and he said it was crazy. It was too early in the pregnancy to tell. Well, thank God, they kept on going with the pregnancy. But my dad would just always say, "Oh, she's a pain in the ass. She's not even born yet." And it's like, she's a Pita. And then it just I definitely lived up to the name, I think.
Oh man, a birth-given nickname. That's definitely the longest one that I've heard that stuck with somebody. Wow.
And it's older than me.
Again, it was great getting to talk to you. Did you have anybody that you needed to thank or shout out to?
Yeah, I want to thank all my coaches at Elevation Fight Team. They're also wonderful and great. My head coach, Cody Donovan. My agent, Lloyd Pearson, and everybody at the Balance Group. And Lynn, my partner, but really does like everything for me and makes all this happen. And then to all my sponsors, there's so many. I can't even list all of them right now, but all of my sponsors, you guys know who you are, and thank you so, so, so much. And to all my teammates, too, at Elevation Fight Team. Can't forget about that. And to my family. At the end of the day, my family's been dealing with me being an athlete my whole life, so I really have to thank them.
Right, how much has that support meant to you throughout all these different ventures that you've been on?
Oh, man. There's no way I could do it without them. There's no way. I mean, my brother is 2 years younger than me, and then my sister is like almost 5 years younger than me or so. And then I have a baby sister who's 6, who's like my biggest fan. But no, we've traveled the world our whole lives, and they never complain when they had to sit in the stands for a long time or travel to go to a tournament for me. And man, I have to thank my parents for all the driving. I mean, they would drive me I would literally do sometimes 3 sports in one night. So they'd take me from school to gymnastics, to cheerleading, to judo, and they would have food ready for me and Tupperware between practices. And, it definitely has been like a full family support system. There's no way I could have done it without them.
Wow, that's a full family dedication right there.
Yeah, and they'll all be at my fight, so it's pretty awesome, and my dad will be in my corner, so it's really awesome.
And how special is that?
I talk so much about my mind, and he's the one that he's really, really, he doesn't coach me, like, necessarily in fighting or anything, but he is the guy that just him being around can really put me in the right mind state. And so that's why he's there. You go to war, so why would you not want to go to war with someone who loves you more than anything in this world?
It's that calming presence in the corner?
Yes, very much so.
Awesome. Again, can't wait to see you in action this Friday night in Vail, Colorado, or Access TV if you guys can't be there live for LFA 56. Again, thank you for the time.
Oh, yeah, no problem. Thank you.